You're listening to the House of Prog, www.houseofprog.com. Crosswinds begins today as it always does. Our jazz theme is provided by the Kenton Orchestra from 1955. It is something called Intermission Riff. You're listening to Crosswinds on this late August Sunday. We will be here doing some live jazz for you till about 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So go grab your friends. Get them turned on and tuned in to the House of Prog for their Sunday brunch. It's a very interesting program for you this morning. First hour of this program is big band music. This hour we will be featuring the Toshiko Akiyoshi Tabackin Big Band from an album called Road Time, released in the year 1977. We're going to do 3 cuts from that album in this first hour, and we're going to do one of the cuts right now. But before we get into that track, we're going to let the band do some tuning up.
Peterson, Bill Reichenbach, Bobby Shue, and Stephen Hospital.
Recorded live in Japan in 1977, the album is called Road Time. Toshiko Akiyoshi, Tabackin Big Band. And that was a nice little short piece called Tuning Up. Do hope you enjoyed that. We're going to have a couple more tracks from that particular album in this first hour. And I need to be transparent for a minute. As a music collector and a lover of music, the Akiyoshi Tabackin album Road Time has been a CD that I've been looking for probably 15 years now. And the times that I would find it on music sites, it would always be for $350 kind of thing. I finally found it for $30 on Amazon. I burned it to the CD. I ripped it to the computer, and you're going to hear it today. Just a real brilliant big band album. For those not familiar with Toshiko Akiyoshi, a piano player, composer, and arranger, her big band started mid-1970s, lasted till the early 1990s. She herself does not do any more big band writing. All the writing and composing and playing that she does is in her own piano trio. Tabackin was tenor saxophone player with the band, also Toshiko's husband at the time. Tabackin was a tenor saxophone player in New York City, also did some flute and piccolo, primarily with the NBC Studio Orchestra, also known as the Tonight Show Orchestra. The Toshiko Akiyoshi Tabackin Big Band, when they were in their heyday, one of the best big bands in the world, and you'll get two more examples of that as we go through the first hour here in Crosswinds. I do hope everybody is doing well, having a wonderful weekend. On the last weekend of August, Labor Day here in America is 1 week from tomorrow. I do hope everybody is getting cooler. I think some of the summer heat is gone where I live. It's very, very nice today. But we're here till 2 p.m., bringing you some great jazz, big band music until the top of the hour. Going to go to Norway for this set of music, featuring the Trondheim Jazz Orchestra. Guitar player on this track is Hedwig Mollestad. This is a piece called All Flights Cancelled. Going to Norway for that particular set of jazz, featuring the Trondheim Jazz Orchestra. Last song that you heard was them with Chick Corea, doing one of Chick's signature compositions, something called Spain, a little bit different take on that classic Chick Corea piece. Before that, Trondheim Jazz Orchestra with the Norwegian guitar player Hedwig Mollestad. Check out her music with the Hedwig Mollestad Trio. The song they did together was something called All Flights Cancelled. It is big band music until the top of the hour. The big band music for this hour, in case you haven't noticed, is all live recordings today. Another track from the Toshiko Akiyoshi Tabackin album, Road Time from 1977. This is the Road Time Shuffle. The big band music continues. The Phil Collins Big Band wrapping up the two songs in that set, taken from the only album they ever recorded, live album called A Hot Night in Paris. Song you just heard was called Chips and Salsa. Phil Collins on drums, also the leader of the big band. Gerald Albright, the best-known horn player in the band. He played alto saxophone. Gerald Albright was part of the Earth, Wind, and Fire horns for a while. Daryl Sturmer, Phil's longtime guitar player with his solo work. He is on guitar on the album. It's a real cool big band album. It's the only album, as I said, that they ever recorded. There's also a Blu-ray of the band in concert. I think it's taken from the same night of recording the album. But it's really cool. Check it out. Before that, Toshiko Akiyoshi, Tabackin Big Band. The second track that you heard from their 1977 album entitled Road Time. And the song that you heard was called A Road Time Shuffle. We have one more song from Toshiko and Lou coming up in this next set, as we're going to get you through the top of the hour with the last big band set of this day. We begin with the McCoy Tyner Big Band, Love Surrounds Us.
Foster, and Peter Donald.
You're listening to the House of Prague, www.houseofprague.com. It is Crosswinds for the last Sunday. Actually, it's not. I take that back. Next to last Sunday in August. The first hour of the program, always big band music, and we wrap it up with two pieces in that set. We started with the McCoy Tyner Big Band, recorded at the Blue Note nightclub. The song that you heard was called Love Surrounds Us. McCoy Tyner, one of the great jazz piano players ever, best known for his work in the John Coltrane Quartet, along with John Coltrane, Matt Garrison, and Elvin Jones back in the early 60s. McCoy recorded at least two big band albums that I'm aware of, and that's where the song Love Surrounds Us comes from. We wrap things up with the third piece from the Toshiko Akiyoshi Tabackin Big Band from their 1977 album entitled Road Time. I'm sure glad I found that album, because it is dynamite. Song you heard was called Warning. Success may be hazardous to your health. I hope you enjoyed the first hour of Crosswinds. Hour number 2 and beyond begins now with a lot of groove, starting with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Get boogie down, down the whole ground. The boogie down, down the whole ground. The boogie down, down the whole ground. The boogie down, down. Let's groove tonight. Share the spice of life. And it's like tonight. We gonna groove tonight.
You don't hear me? Say, all the things that used to fix me. Yeah, all the things that used to fix me. They don't fix me like the groove. No, no. All the things that used to fix me. You don't know what I'm talking about. All the things that used to fix me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All the things that used to fix me. No, they don't fix me no more. No more, no more. So I got to groove. Come on, baby. I got to groove. You know what? Kind of groove that makes you move. Yeah. Ooh. I got to groove. Come on with me now. Say, I've been here and there. I looked everywhere. I searched high and low. Now there's no place to go. So I got to groove. Yeah, I got to groove. But you don't hear me though. Kind of groove that makes you move. Yes, it do. I got to groove. Can you feel it? I got to groove. Feel it in your body. I got to groove. Make it dance all night long. Kind of groove that makes you move. Yeah, I got to groove. Oh, I wish you could hear me now. All the things that used to fix me. You don't know what I'm talking about. All the things that used to fix me. They just don't do it. All the things that used to fix me. Come on, they don't fix me like the groove. No. All the things that used to fix me. Are you with me? All the things that used to fix me. No, no, they just don't do it. All the things that used to fix me. I wish you knew what I was talking about. They don't fix me no more. No more, no more. So I got to groove. Come on, dance with me now. Come on, baby, I got to groove. Yeah, yeah. Come on, I got to groove. I got to groove. Come on, sing with me now. I got to groove. I got to groove. That's what I got to do. Yeah. I got to groove. Can you feel it?
One of the things that we like to do on this program is put that groove in your normally lazy Sunday with the jazz that we play. Tower of Power from Oakland, California wraps up 3 songs in that set. So I Got to Groove. Before that, from Canada, the Oscar Peterson Trio. One of the real cool jazz piano players. A little bit more relaxed and restrained on the second track that we heard in that set. A piece called Bags Groove. We started off with Earth, Wind & Fire from an album called Raise. The song you heard was called Let's Groove. Let's kind of keep it going for a little bit. Something else from Earth, Wind & Fire. This comes from a very bad motion picture. Motion picture was entitled Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Was released maybe 1977 or so. Peter Frampton starred as Billy Shears, and the Bee Gees starred as Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Really bad movie. This is probably the best thing that come from the movie. Earth, Wind & Fire got to get you in to my life.
Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. I was alone, I took a ride, didn't know what I would find. to get you in, got to get you in, got to get you in, got to get you in, into my life. Got to get you into my life. Got to get
I've always been a dreamer, hit the floor running, but I don't forget to pray. Joy, joy is a comer, soon she gonna happen. A thinker with a lot to say. It's a groove, this life. My dear friend is a drinker, tan and alcoholic. His bones are bleaching in the sun. Mackie is a schemer, says he got some music, couldn't get arrested with a gun. But it's a groove, this life. Oh, it's a groove. Oh, is it rich enough? Is it strange enough? Is it full enough? This life. Oh, do we bitch enough? Do we change enough? Is it full enough? This life. Oh. Frankie is a driver, past the age of reason. Used to be a Green Beret. What's up in the summer? Boom, and then it's over. Go ahead and make my day. It's a groove, this life. Oh, it's a groove. Oh, is it rich enough? Is it strange enough? Is it full enough? This life. Oh, do we bitch enough? Do we change enough? Is it full enough? This life. Oh, this life. I get impatient with too much talk. Lucky I can still walk the walk. Can't be running from the devil now. You try to make him into your friend. Faster and faster you play, closer and closer you get to the day, so close to the end. Oh, is it rich enough? Is it strange enough? Is it full enough? This life. Oh, do we bitch enough? Do we change enough? Is it full enough? This life. Is it rich
3 in that set. We wrap it up with a band out of Los Angeles, California. The band was called Malo. Their only top 40 hit is the song that you heard in that set, a song called Suavecito. One of the members of Malo was Jorge Santana, brother of Carlos, and you'll hear from Santana a little later on in the program. Before that, Robert Lamm, founding member, keyboard player, vocalist, and one of the principal songwriters of the band Chicago. The song that you heard was called It's a Groove, This Life, taken from a solo album he released 20 years ago now, back in about 2005. The album is called Subtlety and Passion, and if you're a fan of the band Chicago, you best have that album in your collection because it's really good. Earth, Wind & Fire got us started doing their take on a classic song by the Beatles, Got to Get You Into My Life. You're listening to Crosswinds on this Sunday. I hope everybody is getting cooler in their weather. It is exceptionally cooler here today. Going to be in the low 40s tomorrow morning. Get out the jackets. Fall is coming. I do hope you're enjoying the program. You've got about another hour and a half or so to get people turned on and tuned in to the House of Prague. We'll be here till about 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Some live music in this set. We start with Jaco Pastorius. This is called The Chicken.
this thing before.
Jumbo-A type, swaggering, blustering, coonskin. I said, you're not serious, right? Then I saw him grab my friend by the hair. Well, I guess I should have prayed. As I dragged him around, I said to myself, there's gonna be some changes made. Yes, the girl I knew and loved alone for years from afar. With a finger to her lips, she led me out to see the stars. She led me down to the grinning lake, and in it we did wade. She took my hand and put it there. There's gonna be some changes made. 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 Can't keep on doing what I've been doing these days. Look in the mirror, see a clown's face. I gotta take it off, gotta keep myself straight. Up in front for all to see, I'm graceful like a bumbling fool. Then I thought I felt slip from my mouth a little drool. Maybe no one noticed it on my mind, never laid ways. Saw two people snickering, said there needs to be some change. People snickering, there's gonna be some changes made. Hey, snickering, well, I'm gonna be some changes made. Gonna be some changes made. Gonna be some changes made. Can't keep on doing what I've been doing these days. Look in the mirror, see a clown's face. I gotta take it off, gotta keep myself straight. Going home, I've done enough to sow my little name. Going where the fields are green and I can do my macrame. A buffoon fumbling without a clue likes to shift the blame and often feels betrayed. It's gonna be some changes made. Gonna be some changes made. Go ahead, Bobby. Go and read some books, appear to be smart. Maybe love would come to me as a patron of the arts. I tried spouting Shakespeare on a midsummer night shade. The lady's young and I walked on. I'm gonna be some changes made. Gonna be some changes made. Yes, gonna be some changes made. You can't keep on doing what I'm doing these days. Look in the mirror, see a clown's face. I gotta take it off. straight. Gonna be some changes made. Can't keep on doing what I've been doing these days. Look in the mirror, see a clown's face. I gotta take it up, gotta get myself straight. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Set of live music for you. Bruce Hornsby and Company. It's taken from a very excellent box set called Intersections, 1985 to 2005. That's a piece called Gonna Be Some Changes Made. Before that, Jaco Pastorius, taken from an album called The Birthday Concert. And that was a piece called The Chicken. You're listening to Crosswinds. It's just about the top of the hour. This happens live every Sunday, 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Eastern Time, courtesy of the wonderful people at the House of Prague, www.houseofprague.com. We will get you through the top of the hour, get you into the final hour of the program, by doing something from a New Jersey-based band known as Thank You Scientist. We are into the third hour of Crosswinds. Getting you there with something from Snarky Puppy from their 2016 album entitled Culture Vulture. The song that you heard was called Gemini. That's a very cool song. I saw Snarky Puppy in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they played that particular piece, but that was the piece they really kind of extended into about 15, 16 minutes worth of music. Some long soloing and jamming on that song. Really, really cool. Before that, from New Jersey, Thank You, Scientist, from a 2005 album entitled Maps of Non-Existent Places. The song that you heard is called Suspicious Waveforms. Crosswinds until the top of the hour on this Sunday. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Still have a little bit of time to grab your friends. Let them know what you do over Sunday brunch every Sunday. We're going to strut around a bit in this particular set by going down to New Orleans to kick things off with the Meters.
Yeah!
did a little strutting around in that set, and we wrap it up with Santana. From Santana 3, released in 1971. Song that you heard was called The Jungle Strut. Before that, Mandrill, band out of Queens by way of Africa, doing the Fat City Strut, and we went down to New Orleans to start the set with the Meters, one of the great, great classic New Orleans pieces, something called the Cissy Strut. We're here till about the top of the hour. We'll get you as close to 2 p.m. Eastern Time as we can. One last set to leave you with before some live Pat Metheny group takes us out. This set is also all live music. We start with Steely Dan from their live album released in 1995. The album is called Alive in America. This is something called Babylon Sisters.
Drive west on Sunset to the sea. Turn that jungle music down just until we're out of town. This is no one night stand, it's a real occasion. Close your eyes and you'll be there. It's everything they say. The end of a perfect day. Distant lights from across the bay.
Babylon sisters, shake it. Babylon sisters, shake it.
So fine, so young. Tell me I'm the only
Here come those Santa winds again.
We'll jog with the show folk on the sand. Drink a Schwarzer from a shell. San Francisco show and tell. Well, I should know by now that it's just a spasm, like a Sunday in TJ. That it's cheap, but it's not free. And I'm not what I used to be. And the gloves not a game for free.
Babylon sisters.
Some live music in that set for you. We started and ended with Steely Dan. from the only live album they ever released in their career, 1995 album called Alive in America. Steely Dan was never one to do tours, so a live album is very unusual from them. Song you just heard was called Bodhisattva, originally appearing on a Steely Dan album called Can't Buy a Thrill. We started the set with some Steely Dan with a song called Babylon Sisters, which is the opening track of a Steely Dan album entitled Gaucho. The middle piece, Joni Mitchell and Friends, Pat Metheny doing the guitar solo on the track that you heard from their live album Shadows and Light. The song that you heard was called In France, They Kiss on Main Street, originally appearing on a Joni Mitchell album entitled The Hissing of Summer Lawns from 1974. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this episode of Crosswinds. Before we play you some Pat Metheny live to close things out, I want to remind you that we do this every Sunday here at the House of Prog, www.houseofprog.com. 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. is when we do the program live. We will be back next week. More live jazz for you. First hour of this program will be big band music. So grab your friends. Let them know how you enjoy your brunch on Sunday. Going to leave you with something from the Pat Metheny Group. This is from their first live album entitled Travels. This is just a wonderful live recording of a classic Pat Metheny song. It also includes what I think may be the most expressive and best Lyle Mays piano solo. Going to leave you with something called San Lorenzo. And until we meet again, may all of you be well, be blessed, and know that you are loved. You have been in Crosswinds, and I am the Mercurial Stranger.